You can go wherever you want, see whatever you want to, but a place is only as good as the people you know in it. I think this is a pretty good place. Welcome back, legends.
So I've heard that you want some more, you're ready and willing to settle the score. 90 plus episodes, yet so much in store. That amazing iceberg, we ain't hit the core, Ever wonder what made Devilman cry, or why this guy can spy with his devilish eye? No need to question or prod and pry. Just watch me on YouTube till your neurons fry. Check it. Season 1, got that out of the way. Season 2, kid stuff, you know we don't play. Season 3, that's garbage, better throw it away. Season 4, in the door, and it's here to stay. We got hours of info that you can't ignore, like a hit from Raccoon or a Snorlax snore. Anime's the currency, and if you're feeling poor, just tune into Anime Legends Season.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Season 4, Episode 1 of Anime Legends. Yes, here we are on Season 4, finally. Super excited. All right. Well, today the day's finally come, and we are going to do an extreme deep dive into live action One Piece. I'm talking like I'm going to go episode by episode, and we're going to talk about what I liked and what I didn't like in the series, and just I'm going to go through all the notes that I wrote. But yeah. Before all that, kind of have to go through sponsors, stuff like that, stuff I should let you guys know. Just to let everyone watching know, we do have a Patreon. You can find that at www.patreon.com/AfroX, and you can sign up there to donate in increments of $5, $10, $30, $50, or $100 a month. And you'll get different rewards based on those tiers. At $5 a month, you'll get your name shown at the end of every edited video, except AMVs. At $10 a month, you get your name shown and announced. At the $30 a month level, you will get your name shown and announced, and you also get a handwritten thank you note from me. At the $50 a month level, you get your name shown and announced in fancy lettering with fully edited audio. You also get a handwritten thing, from me, and you will also receive a one-of-a-kind, until more than one person has it. But you will receive an AfroX official t-shirt. Talk more about how to get that for cheaper in a minute here. And at the $100 month level, you'll get all of the previous rewards. Plus, you will be given a link to join in on every live stream that I do. And during those live streams, you will be able to plug whatever you want to talk about for 5 minutes. So that is all the tiers. Now, how to get the AfroX t-shirt cheaper? You can go to www.teespring.com/stores/Afro-X-2. There's a link in the description of all my edited videos. And there you'll find the AfroX t-shirt, which has the AfroX logo on the front and the AfroX slogan on the back, which is, of course, Stay Legendary. All right. As for social media, you can find AfroX We have a page on Facebook. We also have the AfroX official fan club on Facebook. If you join that, you'll be added to a chat group where you will be able to find out when I am going off of schedule. In fact, just as an example, just today, I put in there that there wasn't an edited video for today because I was focusing on getting this ready. On X, formerly Twitter, we have an account that's at The Real Afro X. And on Instagram, I believe we also have at The Real Afro X. And yeah, that is our social medias. Just recently, the other day, in looking at analytics, I found out that we actually only have to get to 500 subscribers to start or to become a YouTube partner. And so we are very, very close now. We are only like I think we're 116 subs away from hitting that mark. So definitely subscribe to the channel. Be telling your friends, family. If you like anime in any capacity, this is the channel for you. Oh yes. And also check out the live streams. I definitely want to get more of a bigger community in here. All right, so moving on to the main topic. So One Piece live action came out on August 31st, almost a week ago now. And it was good. It was pretty good. Reviews have been pretty stellar. It did beat out both Stranger Things season 4 and Wednesday for, I believe it is hailed as the most popular or most watched Netflix show in history now. But that might not be factual, so don't quote me on that. But it definitely got higher than Stranger Things season 4 and Wednesday, which is extremely impressive. So, jumping right in, episode 1, which episode 1 was called Romance Dawn as a nod to the first chapter being called Romance Dawn. We start off with Gold Roger being executed. There's the whole tail lore stuff going on there. So one thing I want to point out is that I started out my One Piece journey on the 4Kids dub. Now, before you get all freaked out, defensive, stuff like that, I do want to say that it was what we had. I saw the world premiere of One Piece when it came to America with the English dub. And and so personally, I always accept that beginning, that lore intro as the correct lore intro for one specific reason. And that one specific reason is because in the 4Kids dub, and only in the 4Kids dub, when Gold Roger is giving his speech, he says, "I left everything I own in one piece." He makes a pun. And from what I understood, was that that joke right there that he told was why the treasure was called One Piece. Now, in I believe in the manga translations and in Funimation dub, stuff like that, he says, "I left everything I own in one place." But I mean, I like the 4Kids dub intro just because of "I left everything I own in one piece." Now, in the live action version, he does not say this. In the live action version, he just says, "Go out, my treasure is yours to find," which was kind of a drag that they didn't include that. Although later on in the series, Luffy does say, when he's talking about Gold Roger, he says, Gold Roger's treasure, he left everything in one piece. And I like that they included that in there, because I think that phrase, left everything in one piece, is important as a reason that the treasure is called One Piece. So execution of Gold Roger. We obviously got to see a lot of different cameos from Dragon, Shanks, Mihawk. Some people are even saying there is a femme crocodile in there, but not confirmed. Who knows? But yeah. So after the whole lore intro, we pretty much get into the story, which starts us off with Luffy being in the boat, meeting the Pelican, which in the trailer I thought was Big News Morgan's, but it appears to be just one of the male birds. And when I say male bird, I do mean like post bird, not non-female bird. Anyways, now it's cleared up. So he's on the boat sinks, and he decides to get into a barrel. Now, here is one difference that I also didn't appreciate, which was that in the original, some of Alvida's crew are carrying this barrel, and Luffy bursts out of it. And as a kid, I remember seeing this as the biggest scene, the big first scene in One Piece that kind of sets the tone for all of Luffy's character. Luffy bursting out of the barrel, I thought was so funny, so cool. And they didn't do it in the live action, which I was kind of upset about. Just looking at my notes here, as I said in the live stream the other night, I thought in general the show had good action, and the actual adaptation moments are super inspiring, but there's moments that were cut out that didn't need to be cut out. So in the first episode, we then look into the backstory of Luffy, and most of the stuff we know. I loved Lucky Roo's costume. Lucky Roo's costume was probably the best, and he played his character perfectly. Yasopp was also pretty good. I wanted to just bring up that Garp in this definitely gives me Akainu vibes. He has the anger of Akainu and the hate for pirates of Akainu. And his hat is dumb. His dog hat is the worst thing in the whole series. I mean, in the original manga, he had a dog hat on that looked like a dog was literally eating the top of his head. And in this, it just looked like a little like dime store chintzy dog hat that he had there. But yeah. So the Shellstown storyline went way off the rails from the original. So as most people know, in the original, Luffy and Kobe come across Zoro, who is hanging on this cross and has been there for 7 days without any food, put there by Axe-Hand Morgan for attacking Marines in a bar previous to where we see him in the story. As they're watching, this girl named Rika climbs over the wall, gives him some rice balls, and Helmeppo, Axe-Hand Morgan's son, comes up with a couple of Marines, and he stomps on the rice balls and crushes them into the dirt, and kind of is a jerk about the whole thing. And then Zoro still looks at the girl and says, "Hey, give me that." And he actually like eats these dirty rice balls off the ground. And I think that's really cool because rice balls are also known as onigiri, which is one of his main attacks. And so in the original story, Zoro only agrees to join Luffy if Luffy gets his 3 swords from Morgan's office. And so kind of off screen, Luffy does this and gets the 3 swords from Morgan's office. And during this, Kobe is there, and he's kind of taken hostage by Helmeppo, and Helmeppo points a gun at him. Although in the 4Kids dub, this is a boxing glove, I believe, a boxing glove gun. Anyways, so Luffy gets Zoro's 3 swords. Pretty much unties him, and the Marines confront them, and so Morgan orders all the Marines to shoot Luffy, which Zoro doesn't know about Luffy's powers and thinks he's gonna die. And then Luffy stretches all the bullets and ricochets them back at the Marines. To everybody's surprise, him being made out of rubber. And so yeah. And then pretty much after Zoro's out in quick time, they pretty much in one hit, they take out Morgan. Now, in the live action version, this happens completely differently. For one, we have the entire off screen of Luffy going into Morgan's office, but he first unties Zoro. So Zoro's already free at the beginning, goes to get his swords by himself. Now Luffy and Nami, who is disguised as a Marine, are going to get a map of the Grand Line from Morgan's office. After they get out of Morgan's office, everything pretty much plays out the same, except in the original, Nami is not here at all. We do not meet Nami until Orange Town. But things pretty much turn out the same. They fight the Marines, and after much more than one hit, Accent Morgan is finally defeated. I tried to keep an open mind about them deviating from the story here, but it was hard. It was difficult. I won't lie. But yeah, I did try to keep a more open mind. Moving on to I think we're at episode 2 now, is where they go to Buggy's tent. So this also veers off from the original, whereas in the original they get to Orange Town, meet Nami. Nami pretty much lies and says that Luffy is the boss of her gang, or her captain, or something like that. Gets Luffy locked up in a cage, and Buggy is about to shoot a Muggy Ball at them, which is this extremely high-powered explosive, which they change Muggy Balls into kind of sleeping gas in this new version. But anyways, in the original, Luffy easily gets out of the cage without any difficulty at all. And pretty much everything that happened inside the tent happens in the original outside of the tent. Buggy has his Chop Fruit has his parts flying all around. In the original, there is no saltwater tank, but pretty much the way that Buggy is defeated is kind of similar. In the live action, they put all his parts into boxes, hit all his body parts into boxes, and in the original, Nami ties up all of his body parts together. But I loved how in the live action they actually made miniature Buggy. Miniature Buggy was very satisfying to see. And I also like how all the ways the villains are defeated are the same. They made sure to at least do that, how Luffy does Gum Gum Bazooka to send Buggy flying as well. That was good. Now we get into episode 3, um, which is kind of part 1 of 2 of Syrup Village. And I actually did not really I didn't like Syrup Village pretty much at all. I thought they did not get a pretty enough actress to play Kaya. And I'm sorry if that hurts people, but that's just my opinion. Um, I uh, well, here in my notes I put Usopp's backstory is hella sad. It was really sad. This is where some of the emotional parts started getting good, I will say. Captain Kuro looks like Robbie Rotten. I like I said in the other one, I kept expecting him to break out in We Are Number One, and kudos to the guy who played Robbie Rotten. I don't remember what the actor's name is, and I actually never watched Lazy Town as a kid. I just know about it because of the memes, but yeah, the actor they got to play the actor I think was fine. I think what they really messed up on was his makeup did not look authentic. Like he looked like he was in makeup, and his face looked plastic, like it wasn't original skin. Um, yeah, they just did too much makeup work with Captain Kuro. Um, and I think a lot of it might have been that uh, they were trying to do. Sorry, excuse me. They were trying to do a dark environment thing and kind of a horror movie vibe. And so I feel like maybe they were like, okay, we need to put on more makeup if it's going to be a darker environment. But then once you get into the lighter environments, like when moonlight shines on his face or when there's a lamp shining light on his face, it like his face literally shines with the oils from the makeup that he's wearing. And I really didn't like that. Kaya gave me very Vivi vibes. Just especially how her and Nami were kind of talking and stuff. And if you remember, like Whiskey Peak, in the manga and anime, Nami and Vivi start off by having that kind of conversation over breakfast and stuff. So Kaya really gave me very, very Vivi vibes. The faithful Zoro backstory is appreciated. I did like how they put everything in the Zoro backstory. I don't like how they made him. I don't like how they made him struggle to get out of a well, because Zoro is far too strong to be struggling to climb out of a well. I'm sorry, but he just is. I don't know how we were expected to believe that a man could fight against pirates, like dangerous pirates, and he couldn't even get himself out of a well with ease. Also, just the back of the head thought that during this whole flashback, and while he's trying to get out of a well, fully dead Mary is sitting at the bottom of this. Like there is a rotting corpse at the bottom of this well that he's trying to get out of. So he gets out of the well, and then I wanted to bring this up. 2 seconds later, he lifts the shutters on Kaya's mansion with his own strength. That it either wasn't a good defense system and wouldn't have stopped any pirates at all, or there's some disconnect. You can't be lifting your own body weight to get out of a well and struggling to do it and falling, and then get out and lift what are probably 2-ton shutters. I mean, body weight 2-ton. It doesn't make sense. So that was something I wanted to point out. I also want to point out there's at least 2 times in the series that there are Luffy shouldn't know this plot holes. Plot holes where Luffy was either asleep or he was not in the room when some information was given, and yet he knows this information. So yeah. So apparently Luffy knows. Luffy is like psychic or has ESP or something like that, because he just knows things he shouldn't know. In the notes here, I've put Buggy was creepier than Kuro. Yes, Buggy was creepier than Kuro, and Buggy had a very Heath Ledger Joker vibe. I did appreciate Buggy's Heath Ledger Joker vibe. It made him more real. Plot hole: Luffy can't know Kuro's plan because he wasn't awake to hear it. Lots of Luffy knowledge plot holes. Zoro's bad sense of direction is acknowledged because he meets up with Luffy, who's getting captured by the Marines, and says, I was trying to go back to the house and ended up here, even though the house is the other way. Usopp's scared face is perfect. There was one scene where somebody kicked over a table and Usopp was hiding under it, and his fear face, absolutely perfect. Shutters do not keep pirates out. Zoro can lift heavy shutters, but not his own body weight in a well. Zoro's trigger is the Wado Ichimonji. Yeah, Zoro was weirdly very, like, the two big things that stood out that they really changed about Zoro's personality was that Zoro is like not as much of an alcoholic in the canon manga. I mean, in the cover stories and stuff, he's always drinking, yeah. But they made him a super alcoholic in the live action, and they made his trigger the Wado Ichimonji, and I think that was kind of to make him more relatable to Luffy, just because they both needed items that they had on them at all times that had significance to them. Luffy has the straw hat. Zoro has the Wado Ichimonji. Luffy shows observation haki in Syrup Village. Yes. So when Luffy's fighting Kuro, he actually and I think he does this. I think he does do this in the manga, but he senses Kuro's movement just by listening. And I think this was an early example of developing some kind of observation haki. So they get on the ship, leave Syrup Village. We are plays just as the Going Merry set sail, and it is perfect. Absolutely perfect. No notes on that part right there. So kind of funny. In between the Syrup Village and Barati episodes, there was the moment of them shooting cannonballs at the Going Merry. And at first I put Garp does not throw cannonballs because he didn't throw cannonballs at the end of the episode. And then in the beginning of the next episode, he throws one. And I put ellipse, Garp throws cannonballs. So that was very cool that they had Garp throwing a cannonball in that. Luffy's Gomu Gomu no Fusen, or balloon, is kind of animated weird. Although I understand why it was animated that way with the CGI. Kind of his chest puffs up and then his whole body expands. And this kind of makes sense because, like, in the Pirate Warriors 4, when you do Thor Axe, Luffy first, like, fills up his arm with air for Gear Third, and then transfers all of the air into his foot for the Thor Axe. Chef Zeph is perfect. Yep, Chef Zeph was awesome. Chef Zeph was my favorite character in the whole series. Garp's laugh was good. They did Garp's laugh really well. moving on to Mihawk. I believe now we're talking about the 5th episode. Yeah. So Mihawk chopping the ship in half was lit. I really appreciated that just because in Marineford we see moments of him chopping ships in half, and I liked that they added that in there because it really made us feel the power of Mihawk. Don Krieg is in the show, but he looks bad. Don Krieg looked absolutely horrible. He looked like he got his costume from Party City. I don't care that they did a good CGI cannon and bullet time, Matrix, whatever, stuff like that. His costume was dog water. Zoro's a major alcoholic. I mentioned that. Sanji smoking a cigarette is the ultimate perfection. Just because I love how they stopped on that scene of him lighting up and smoking the cigarette, because it feels like the ultimate the ultimate feel good moment, or the ultimate sense of relief from the 4Kids dub, where they had him have a sucker in his mouth instead of a cigarette. Geen is, I put Geen is in the show. I was excited Geen is in the show. Geen was in the show for probably literally 2 minutes. 2 minutes of the show, and that was it. I feel like they put Geen in just because people would have rioted if Geen was not in the show. One thing I didn't like about people they didn't put in the show was they didn't put in Johnny or Yosaku, and they didn't put in Django the Hypnotist, which I honestly I feel like they could have taken out Bucci and Sham. Those two, we really didn't need them, and they should have put in Django, because Django would have been so much fun. And as Manuel pointed out on the other Cryo pointed out on the other live stream, he was literally like Michael Jackson in One Piece. So yeah, they should have taken out Bucci and Sham. They should have put in Django. That would have been great. And Johnny and Yusaku. I feel like we needed Johnny and Yusaku. Johnny and Yusaku were kind of their role was kind of filled by Nami. Nami was a lot more knowledgeable than she was in the original, just because Nami was the one who told everybody about the 7 warlords, or more so told Usopp. Excuse me. More so told Usopp about the 7 warlords. And yes, there was that. She was very knowledgeable. I put in my notes, Mihawk is underwhelming. I disagree with what I wrote there. Mihawk was okay. I do think he could have been a little more intimidating, but for what he was fine. I also think it's weird that in the English dub in Funimation, they don't give him a Hispanic accent. They do in the live action, which I appreciate, but in the Funimation dub, they do not. Which I feel like Mihawk needs to have a Spanish accent just because of how his mustache looks and everything. Zoro versus Mihawk is best fight. I'll never lose again is best line. Absolutely loved it. Zoro being sick for a long period of time, or being unconscious for a long period of time, really kind of turns into the Nami vibe from them about to go to Drum Island, and the reason they had to go to Drum Island, with Nami being sick there. Garp laughs when he's angry, ? Yeah, that was kind of weird. When Garp got angry, he started laughing, which I thought was very weird, and Kobe kind of mirrored what we were all thinking in that moment. Flashbacks in general were handled well. Sanji's flashback is peak piece. Sanji's flashback was the best in the entire series. Yes. Sanji's flashback, super, super, super good. So I'm gonna take a quick break right here. Let's look at the chat. So Trix here says, oh, here we go. Trix says, how well do you think it turns out? You think it turned out with its budget? I thought it turned out pretty well with its budget. I think with a bigger budget, they could definitely do more. I think the budget was set at 100 million, and I think with double that, 200 million, I think they could really make something special. I think with a bigger budget, they could maybe even make it feel like Pirates of the Caribbean. Because I came into it saying this is either going to feel like One Piece or this is going to feel like Pirates of the Caribbean, and it felt more like One Piece, which I thought was good. I think they'll be able to add a lot more stuff with a bigger budget, and they're gonna need to, just for stuff that is coming up. I mean, even down to simple stuff like Finn Alvida having the slip fruit and someone throwing a building at her and it literally slipping off her skin. Smoker being the first Logia user that we are seeing in the series, and how they're going to do his body turning into smoke. I think that's going to be interesting. Sorry for yawning so much. Twix says, this is all helpful to know beforehand. Well, good. That's why I'm here. That's what I want to do. Moving forward down my notes. So when Kobe tells Garp about how Luffy is, Kobe's a little upstart, by the way. The Marines in the manga would never have let Kobe speak to them like this. So Kobe says Luffy's always been a pirate. At heart, he's always been a pirate, and you can't change him from being a pirate. And I feel like Kobe right there gave a little bit of a subtle trans right speech, and I thought it was okay. I don't know if anyone else picked up on that, but Kobe gives a subtle trans right speech. Luffy makes an Arlong is scrawny joke, and I loved it. I definitely appreciated that because Arlong was scrawny. Usopp hiding. This is the part I was talking about. Usopp hiding under the table is absolutely mint. The actor who played Usopp, he had so much to deal with. He had to deal with them not giving Usopp a long, straight out nose, and he did it perfectly because he played Usopp's spirit to a T. Because he knew people would be judging him for also making Usopp black and not with a long nose. Hard stuff to work with. So Arlong versus Luffy first fight looks like a YouTube video. It was bad. It was really bad. It literally looked like something that early days RDC World would have made. It literally looked like their video fight between what was it? Black versus white TV show themes. It looked like their first Anime House episode. It was just bad. The cuts in these fights, some of these fights were horrible. Inaki Godoy has long fingers. He does, yes. So there's one part where I noticed that he's hanging on to something, and I didn't know if they were trying to make his fingers seem stretchy. But if they weren't, then Inaki Godoy has very long fingers. That's when he's getting up on the ship. So Sanji is jacked. So this part is actually where the thumbnail for this video comes from, or this live stream comes from. So Sanji saving Luffy, and Sanji without a shirt on, like, I'm bisexual, but I'm straightforward, and I think every guy can say that Sanji is a good-looking dude in this with his shirt off. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So once again, in the notes pointing out, Garp's dog hat is worst costume. It's absolutely horrible. The dog costume was even worse than Axan Morgan not actually having a metal jaw. The Luffy Zoroban, it was really good. The Luffy Nami ship is in full force. So I really feel like, especially because of the first episodes, there's a lot of moments, especially when like Nami is listening in the lock and Luffy lays his head down by her head. There are, and like the Nami and Luffy in the closet hiding from the other Marine scene. There is in the live action, at least, there is very big romantic tension between Nami and Luffy. And the Nami Luffy ship is very, very good. I wouldn't say good. It's very big. Sanji finally calls Zoro Mosshead. I thought that was kind of cool. Zoro in turn calls Sanji waiter instead of shitty chef, and I think that was because they were trying to keep him from like saying more curse words than they wanted him to say. Anyways, waiter is just as hard. Map of the Grand Line is a MacGuffin. I really felt like the whole time them following and going after this Map of the Grand Line was very much a MacGuffin, whereas in the original manga, there wasn't so much of a focus on the Map of the Grand Line. They got the map after saving Nami in Arlong Park. But yeah, it didn't need to be that much of a focus. I appreciated that Nami's map room was included, although later on I did realize that Nami's map room is where Luffy and Arlong do fight in the original as well. No Johnny and Usaku easily could have been added. Buggy in a bag is not entertaining and very much gives me Caribou vibes. Them throwing in more Buggy in this was not necessary. I appreciate that Luffy literally, with his Gum Gum Bazooka, Luffy literally hit Buggy into the cover story. And I appreciate that in the original, Buggy, he turns Buggy into a footnote of the story. He turns this main villain into a side piece that no one's paying attention to in the story. And having more Buggy in this just got very annoying. He went from Heath Ledger Joker to like too much SpongeBob annoying. And definitely gave me very big Caribou vibes. Young Arlong is weirdly more intimidating. Yeah, younger Arlong, when he was in his costume, his like mafia costume, was much scarier than present day Arlong. Captain Nezumi is included, but he's not necessary. I mean, honestly, they could have continued with the whole Map of the Grand Line as the MacGuffin thing and made the Map of the Grand Line what Nami needed to bring to Arlong to save her village. But instead, they get to Kokoyashi Village and then they suddenly decide, oh, we're going to go with the original plot again. Nami has to pay the money. Captain Nezumi is going to come in on the orders of Arlong, steal it, stuff like that. And that was kind of confusing. I was like, either deviate from the story or go with the story, but make up your minds here. So Belmir's death is devastating all over again. They did so good with the Belmir's death scene. I understand in the original manga, there's a silhouette of her getting shot through the head. And I appreciate that they kept it tasteful because it was an intense moment. And they turned the camera away to face Nojiko and Nami when Belmir gets shot in the head. I do appreciate that they decided to keep that very tasteful. It also in the in the 4Kids dub, I think or not 4Kids dub, in the Funimation dub even, I think they tried to tone down that scene a bit more. I think they had her like get stabbed in the stomach or something like that. Or they did it off screen. But yeah, that was hard to see again. So I put in the notes, the One Piece story was intentionally changed, but it didn't have to be. So yeah, in general, the story was changed, but they didn't have to change anything. I mean, it ended up being up to Arlong, or in Arlong Park, it ended up being exactly the same story as it originally was. Zoro calls Sanji waiter instead of shitty chef. I already mentioned that. Jinbei is mentioned, which I absolutely loved. I love that Arlong actually mentions Jinbei in this when talking to Captain Nezumi. That feels very close to a manga lover's heart. Garp being Luffy's grandfather is a bigger point than expected. In the original manga, we don't really find out that Garp is Luffy's grandfather until much later on in the story, and it's not that big a deal. And Nami, I feel like in the live action kind of goes overboard about it. Zeph is my favorite character. So I liked every scene with Zeph, including the ones where him and Garp are just talking in Baratier, which I kind of realized Baratier is the correct way to pronounce it. I always called it Barati up until now. And in fact, in one of my raps, I called it Barati so that I could rhyme it doing the line, "You won't find it on the menu, but the chef knows karate," which I thought was kind of cool. Anyways, Buggy is perfectly annoying. And that's where the balance comes in. Yes, he was very annoying, but in the manga, in the cover story, and in Impel Down, he is also very annoying. That is his arc. He goes from threatening to annoying. And so I understand he was annoying, but I also understand he needed to be annoying. Because at a base, him being threatening is a facade, and him being annoying is who he is. Arlong's speech is full of sloppy jump cuts. So when Arlong is talking to Luffy inside the when it's in the flashback and when Arlong is talking to Nami in the map room, all the jump cuts are very, very bad. Like it seemed like they were done by a sloppy YouTuber. Like Arlong just in general seemed like a YouTuber that just walked on the set and they were like, "Hey, you won a grand prize. You get to be Arlong in live action One Piece." And he was like, "Cool. Can I do my own editing?" And they were like, "I guess so." So yeah, Arlong stuff was bad, except for young Arlong. Luffy Help Me is perfectly heart-wrenching. They did Luffy Help Me so good. It is probably the most heart-touching moment in the whole live action series. Usopp's exploding star was mint. At first I didn't understand what was going on. I was like, "Hey, we don't need to see Usopp cut back to Luffy versus Arlong, and that's how you feel in the manga sometimes. Like there was honestly a whole 10 chapters before before Gear 5th before Roof Piece. There was a whole 10 chapters before Roof Piece where I could tell that what was it? Oda was stretching the story in order to make it happen at chapter 1000. Anyways, so but yes, Usopp's attack was very good, and I like that they included that. Arlong versus Luffy round 2 is better, but it's weird. And I realized that it kind of went the same way as the manga did. But it is weird. Just because Luffy says, I know I can't beat you, but I can tear down everything that you value. And in the manga, his reasoning behind tearing down Arlong Park is that he wants to tear down this prison, pretty much a prison tower that Nami had been trapped in, and he absolutely hates this whole place. So Garp versus Luffy replacing Smoker versus Luffy is interesting yet underwhelming. So during the whole party after beating Arlong, Garp shows up with the rest of the Marines with Kobe and Helmeppo and starts fighting Luffy. And I feel like I didn't know if they were trying to replace Logtown with this, replacing Logtown with an epilogue. But anyways, yeah, the whole thing seemed underwhelming. Garp needed to be the badass Marine because no one else was. So yeah, in this, Garp kind of needed to be a hard ass just because there were no other high-ranking Marines that could be that angry, I hate all pirates type of guy. So yeah, Garp needed to be that. I don't like the cop-out, though. I don't like the cop-out that he was testing Luffy. And a lot of people say that this made Garp seem weaker or that he wasn't that much like Akainu. And I don't buy it. He, like his whole thing, his whole character arc up till now is him not wanting Luffy to be a pirate, and so him testing Luffy to see if Luffy was worthy to be a pirate the Marines would chase. It just seems contrived. I wish they had done Logtown. They probably could have done it if they had done 10 episodes instead of 8. Be a good Marine and be a good pirate was a perfect Luffy and Kobe send-off. I absolutely loved that moment. Just because I that was a moment that I wish they had actually put in the manga and anime, because I love how Luffy and Kobe in this series try to put the point out to everybody that there are bad Marines and there are good Marines. There are bad pirates and there are good pirates. And I absolutely admire that this line. The line is great. Be a good Marine, be a good pirate. Which does suggest that, good Marines and good pirates can coexist in this world. Helmeppo becomes a Zoro rival. He says he wants to train more in order to beat Zoro. And it's kind of laughable because in the manga, there's no possible way Helmeppo could ever beat Zoro. Although now I don't know. I mean, I don't know about his abilities in the current manga. He seems to pretty much be the new Bogard, so who knows? But yeah, live action Helmeppo has no chance of ever beating Zoro. The barrel scene. The barrel scene was perfect. Yes, so where they all put their feet on the barrel and yell out their dreams. I thought that was perfect. Originally, they did that after Logtown, so it's kind of out of place, but I thought it was great. It was awesome. And from what I heard from Liam from Grand Line Reviews review was that the barrel they are using in that scene is the same brand of alcohol they use in the actual manga on the barrel. And finally, at the end, this is watching, and if you're still watching, thank you so much, because we're almost to an hour here. But the smoker reveal at the end was top notch. I didn't know if they were making his hair white or they were making it seem like his hair had turned into smoke. But either way, the smoker reveal at the end was absolutely awesome. And I love that they are setting up for a season 2 that hopefully starts with Logtown. So that's pretty much all it was. My final thoughts in my notes were: it started rough, took time to get used to, but by the end of it, I chilled out and it felt like One Piece. It didn't feel like a live action version of One Piece. It felt like One Piece. Yeah. Inaki Godoy stopped being Inaki Godoy and became Monkey D. Luffy. And this is just as good a beginning for anyone who wants to casually get into the One Piece series. Of course, eventually go back, rewatch, reread the manga, but this is a great taste of exactly what One Piece is. Live action One Piece, no, I'd just call it One Piece. But yeah. As I said in the other stream, official rating is 8 out of 10 afros. Great, not jaw-dropping, and I want more. Please don't skip Logtown. But yeah, I definitely want more of this. Super excited for if they're coming out with a season 2, which, looking at all of the reviews, stuff like that, it looks like they are free to go full steam ahead on season 2. And I think this could be great. I definitely don't think it's gonna do the entire series. I don't think it's gonna be on that grand of a scale, but I do think a season 2, and if season 2 does well, a season 3 would be very, very good. I honestly will say, if they're gonna go a long ways into the series, at least make Alabasta. If you can get to the end of Alabasta and the series is still good, you have succeeded, my friends. So stuff that I want to see in the live action in season 2. I want to see Zoro flipping the sword in midair to test his luck against its curse, flipping Sendai Kitetsu. And I definitely want to see Buggy getting hit by lightning. And I want to see how good they're going to do on the Logia CGI for Smoker. Because Smoker's CGI for Logia is going to set the tone for if they ever do Logia in this series again. So that is definitely important. I would also like to see Drum Island. I'd definitely like to see Drum Island, and I definitely hope that they cast an absolutely gorgeous woman to play Nefertari Vivi. Like I'm talking like what's the model's name? There was a model a while ago that was named as like the hottest woman in the world. I'm talking like top tier beauty. Which beauty is subjective, but I'm talking about the world's idea of beauty. Anyways, but Drum Island, I want to see how they do Chopper. Live action Chopper is going to be interesting, especially since CGI fur is very difficult to make. So I hope they do a good job of Chopper. If they make Chopper a like a little person or a child in a costume, I'm done. I'm done with the series. Here is what I expect. I expect a fully CGI Chopper, and I will expect nothing less. So yeah, that's my challenge to Tomorrow Studios: fully CGI Chopper, or I walk. But anyways, I definitely want to see Wapple. Wapple is very important. Honestly, if they want to do everything, if they want to really adapt the series like 1-to-1, Laboon is going to be interesting to see, but they do need to put Laboon and Crocus. And I could already see how that could be done well. Just because Crocus has a lot of the lore on Gold Roger. But yeah, if they really want to put everything in here, if they want to put Greenbit, if they want to put Whiskey Peak, if they or not Greenbit, if they want to put Whiskey Peak, if they want to put Little Garden, with the Giants, then I think season 2 needs to be Logtown, Reverse Mountain, Whiskey Peak, Little Garden, Drum Island, and then Alabasta should be all of season 3. So yeah, Logtown, Reverse Mountain, Whiskey Peak, Little Garden, and Drum Island, and end season 2 at the end of Drum Island, and have season 3 be all of Alabasta. Because Alabasta needs a whole season if you're gonna do it right. It either needs a whole season or it needs a movie. But yeah, so that's been 1 hour. I went through absolutely all my notes, everything I could think of. Looking at what Trix has said here, they could use Garp's right hand man for the serious Marine role instead of Bogard would be a really good like angry guy from now on. I was upset because I really wanted to see the scene from the cover page where Bogard chops up Helmeppo's or Kobe's guns, but that does not happen. Chopper might be CGI. He better be. And Alabasta and Forward should be a season per arc. I absolutely agree. Yeah. Alabasta and Forward need to be a season per arc. Definitely, because simply because after Alabasta, really the next big thing is Skypia. And that gets into tricky territory because you have Pierre, who is a bird that is also a horse because of a devil fruit. You have you would have to find a way to make a good-looking CGI lightning man for Eneru. But more importantly, you would have to stuff Jaya and the Knockup Stream into one episode. 1 or 2 episodes. They could do it, but you would have to put Jaya and the Knockup Stream into one episode. And I know they'll never put it in, but secretly in my heart of hearts, I would love them to give a nod to Rulika Island and the Rainbow Mist going into Ape's concert, stuff like that. I actually think that Ape's concert was the inspiration for Luffy's Kong Organ attack in Gear 4th. I just love that connection. But yeah. They need to hire Eminem on Eneru. Definitely. You heard it here, folks. Eminem needs to play Eneru in like season 4 of live action One Piece. Anyways, that's all for tonight. Great start to season 4 of Anime Legends. Hope you all liked it. I know this is a long video. I know people don't like long videos. They don't want to watch long videos. I do not care. I will keep making what I want to make. And let's head to 500 subs. Anyways, keep YouTubing. YouTubers don't fight the fro. And always remember to stay legendary. See you later, YouTube. Bye-bye. Oh, and Luffy just wanted to say, Kaisuku Oni, ore wa naru.